Welcome to Fan for Racing Radio. I'm Fan for Racing Sharon, and Jay Huseman will be joining me shortly. But I'm here to kind of give you a rundown of what we're going to talk about here tonight and our hot topic list, if you will, as well as maybe some of the news items that we have going on in the world of NASCAR. This is a big week with NASCAR because it's the week of the Daytona races, our season opening races for the ARCA Menard Series, for the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series. So we've got a lot to talk about here on Hot Topic Sound Off tonight, episode number 2602. And this is our pre-Daytona Hot Topic Sound Off. We're going to do a post-Daytona Hot Topic Sound Off as well. So just so you know. Now, once Jay gets here, we are going to talk a little bit about Bowman Gray and the Cookout Clash and give you a little bit of a review of what happened in that race. It won't be very long. Just a little rundown of what is happening with the clash at Bowman Gray, the Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray. It was quite a night with some weather and everything else. And Ryan Preece won that race. But we'll give you kind of some of our thoughts about that race when Jay does arrive. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about the World Series of Asphalt at New Smyrna Speedway this week. It's all part of all of the activities leading up to the Daytona races this week. And usually we see some of the NASCAR drivers take part in some of that World Series of Asphalt at New Smyrna. Also, super excited. Jay and I were wondering about this. They have announced a schedule for the Dash for Cash and the Triple Truck Challenge. So we'll give you some of the details of that as well. And also there was a rule change announced this week for the qualifying and for especially the super speedway tracks during qualifying. And we'll give you more of the details of that when Jay arrives. But you'll want to know about this rule change before this weekend. So stay tuned for more on that. Also, there was a one-day test at Rockingham, and we'll give you some of the details of what happened there. And it's always cool when the drivers do get an opportunity to test. And I'm not sure what they were testing for, but like I say, we'll give you the details when we get to that subject. Also, some news from Flow Racing. They're going to be simulcasting 16 races this year on the NASCAR channel. And I know Roku has a NASCAR channel. And so that is absolutely free, by the way. If you have a Roku device, you can get Roku TV, and that includes NASCAR TV. So those races will be simulcast 16 races will be simulcast from Flow Racing, and we'll give you all the details. Also, did you watch Race for the Seat? The Ram Truck Series Challenge for the number 14 seat from Colleague Racing. I watched all of the episodes. It was pretty interesting, and we'll talk about that. I know everybody already knows who won that challenge, but Jay and I will kind of talk through that as well. Also, Corey Heim is going to be driving in the Cup Series, the number 67, for 12 races for Trackhouse Racing, and we'll give you all of those details as well. I also have details on driver appearances at Daytona. So if you're going to be at Daytona, you'll want to know about that. And if you're going to the races, you'll want to know where the drivers are going to be and when. But you'll also want to know if you're not going to be at the racetrack, you can still maybe see some of these drivers at some of the locations. So stay tuned for that. Connor Zelich was awarded the Driver of the Year award from the NMPA Richard Petty 2026 Driver of the Year. Also, Dave Moody and Nate Ryan, they received awards as well, media awards. So we'll give you the details there. There's a new voice on Sirius XM NASCAR radio. Nick Yeaman is going to join Brad Gilley. And so we'll look forward to more there. Also, Carson Hocevar signed an extension with Spire Motorsports. So that's a good news. Jackson Lee is going to be racing with Rayum Brothers at St. Petersburg, and that'll be his debut in the Truck Series. So that's going to be fun to watch. And also the ASA season starts at Dominion Raceway on April the 26th. So a lot of really fun information there with regard to what's happening around racing and NASCAR going into the Daytona weekend. And I mentioned that there's going to be a lot of racing this weekend. I mentioned the World of Asphalt series that is racing at New Smyrna. We'll give you some of the details there. But the duels, a couple things I want you to know. Daytona qualifying is going to be on Wednesday this week, as well as the duels on Thursday. The Truck Series is racing on Friday night. Then we've got the ARCA Menard Series, as well as the Xfinity Series on Saturday. And the Daytona 500 will be taking place on Sunday at Daytona International Speedway. So this is going to be a fun week. After having the off season and very limited racing and no racing for NASCAR during that off season period, a lot of race fans are returning this week with all of the activities taking place at Daytona International Speedway. So I'm super excited about everything that's going on. So Jay should be here shortly. And let me just kind of go over some of the things here that are going on. I mentioned the ASA Super Series, the ASA Series Stars National Tour. They are bringing their, it'll be a Sunday matinee showdown at Dominion Raceway on April the 26th in Woodford, Virginia. Race fans can look forward to a perfect afternoon of short track action as the Appalachian Sucker Punch ASA Stars National Tour heads to Dominion Raceway for that Sunday afternoon race. It was originally planned for Saturday, April 25th date, but it has been changed now to a matinee race on the 26th. That change came about the promoter of the event, as well as Track Enterprises and MDM Promotions and owning Marty Mello, to avoid overlapping with the Cars Tour race scheduled for that same weekend. That move allows fans, teams, and competitors to enjoy two marquee racing events without conflict, while setting the stage for a family-friendly Sunday afternoon show. So it should be a lot of fun, but I want you to mark your calendars for that now. I know I'm giving you plenty of advance notice, and you want to make sure you mark your calendar. Now, Jay and I are going to do a preview of all of the races this weekend when we go to on Wednesday, and maybe even a little bit before, because of the Wednesday qualifying, as well as the duels on Thursday. We're going to sit down and do those preview shows as soon as the information is available. So Jay has just entered, and I'm going to bring him into the queue. Welcome to the show, Jay.
Well, thank you, Sharon. Happy to be here and excited. We're getting ever so closer. I know we got a little taste of racing with the Clash, but that's just a drop in the bucket.
I know. Talking about the Clash, what are your overall thoughts about the Clash? I heard some good things. I heard some bad things, and but I want to get your thoughts about that race.
Yeah, and that was bound to happen. You're right. I saw both the positive and the negative. Take the positive to start with for sure. Ryan Preece getting his first victory, one of only three drivers to win the Clash prior to winning a first Cup race. You got to be excited about that. RFK, what they're building there. So I take that for what it is. Obviously, it wasn't ideal. The weather conditions, the tires, all of it, the delays. I get it. I do appreciate the fact that NASCAR, to me, went above and beyond what they could, as well as the community around Bowman Gray. I don't know the name of the town there, but that community. I mean, put in every.
Salem.
Now that's North Wilkesboro. That's a mistake I was going to make. I think that's North Wilkesboro's. Maybe it is. I really don't know. But that community, along with NASCAR, I mean, they did everything they possibly could. Did they make the best decision in every case? That's an opinion, and everybody has theirs. So again, did I think it was good? It was what it was. We got to see some racing. It's what we expect from short track racing, the madhouse. We got that. So I would think fans would be happy because we definitely saw the tempers flare. That did bring up a question for me. I know a lot of people are hollering or screaming that it should go back to Daytona, like they think that the weather isn't a factor there. The aspect I look at it from of you don't seem to have as much temperament when it comes to the racing at Daytona as you do on a short track. So are you setting a bad tone and basically, as I see it, creating some rivalries for the season, in this first race? Because we know drivers are going to remember things. You don't seem to have as much of that at a super speedway as you do on a short track. So by starting at a short track, are you creating controversy before the season even begins? I guess is how I look at it. What's your thoughts there?
Well, any news is good news, I guess, when it comes to promoting. But I will say that, a lot of times when those kind of subjects come up, I feel like it's from the people that don't remember or weren't around when we had the races at the Daytona beforehand. One of the reasons they stopped doing it is because people stopped coming for the 2-week period. And so they didn't have much of an audience for the Clash there. And I know we had a lot of weather. The fans really get a lot of kudos because they showed up at Bowman Gray for the Clash, at the Cookout Clash. Was it everybody? Were the stands packed? Probably not. But I think a lot of fans persevered a lot in order to be there and watch that race. So I give those fans that showed up a lot of kudos for that. But yeah, one of the reasons they changed is because they weren't getting the attendance. So that's something for people to kind of keep in mind as well. So I like the idea of them moving it around to different tracks and kind of challenging the drivers on a different type of track to kind of kick off the season in a non-points paying kind of way. I thought Bowman Gray was particularly a good track for them to do it at because it gave them a chance to try the higher horsepower for the short tracks. So they had 80 more horsepower for the cars. So I thought that was really good that they were able to do that at Bowman Gray. And I'm sure there are other tracks that they could test or try something different and see how it works. So, and I thought they put on a really good show for the most part. Now, there was a stretch there where the weather kind of interfered a little bit. They had to go to the wet tires. But again, that was a chance to check it out and see how it worked out. So, I can't really complain about that either. I think that NASCAR really did a good job. And again, kudos to NASCAR for persevering and making sure that we were able to get that show in. They did everything they possibly could to make sure that race was in. And somebody was talking about if you were looking at it from the sky because you were flying in, You had all this snow all around the track, and around the track, everything was clear. And it was very obvious that they had put a lot of work into clearing that track and making it available for racing on race day, which turned out to be Wednesday night. And so, again, kudos to the track and all of the people that were involved in clearing that out, because there was a lot that was done there. I thought the race was good. Was it perfect? No, but I thought that there were reasons for why they did what they did, and I think that they were good reasons. So I was willing to persevere through all of that. I was happy for Ryan Preece, and by the way, on that regard, RFK Racing starting out the year with a victory at Bowman Gray, I think, is a good omen for that organization, and just shows how hard they've been working to improve things within the organization itself. Also, news came out today that Brad Keselowski has been cleared to race at Daytona. So I think that's going to be good for RFK Racing as well. I was so happy for Ryan Preece winning that race. The emotions of that victory were right on the surface, and I'm okay with that. I think the driver should show their emotions when they have a victory like that. He's worked very long and hard for coming. And like he said, it's been a long time coming. So to have him show that emotion and how much it meant to get that victory, I think was really good.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with all of that of like you said, and I hadn't thought about that of the testing the horsepower. That was the first there with that package. So yeah, I'm sure there were some good takeaways from the team with that. And that to me was the drawback to Daytona. And if you've been with us for several years, you know, I'm not necessarily a big fan of the pack racing when it comes to the super speedways. So for me, going to the short tracks was more up my alley. But I think a big thing was that it became an extended test session for the Daytona 500. And I feel like that's where a lot of people truly lost interest. Was it was no longer a race, it was a test session for the Daytona 500. So I'm with you. You know, again, did I like the Coliseum? Absolutely. They moved it to Bowman Gray. Am I excited about that? Yes. I'm okay with that, same as the All-Star race of moving it around, a new challenge. And again, there was a purpose with it, with the horsepower package this year. So you know me, I'm trying to focus on the positive. Were there some negative aspects? Yes. And one of them, I know some of the media have really jumped on board of NASCAR needing to let go of control when it comes to the tires. They're there, let the teams decide. I kind of understand that, but I also think NASCAR is looking at it from a competitive side as well as a safety side. If they really feel it is safest to have them on the wet weather, they're going to put everybody on the wet weather. And as we've seen over the years, that's a developing progress and situation. You know, if they do switch them, they put everybody on them. As the track dries, then they put that freedom in the crew chief's hands. And like I said, I fully understand where that aspect is coming from of, hey, let the teams decide their own fate. But you got to keep in mind, NASCAR is also looking at several other aspects. First and foremost, safety.
Yes, indeed. And we are talking about the Clash right now. If you're listening or tuning in, we'd welcome your comments. If you want to tell us what your thoughts were about the Clash, we can share those right here on Fan for Racing Radio's Hot Topic Sound Off. This is an interactive show, and we like everybody to participate at your discretion. And the only thing we ask is that you be respectful. So, but share your thoughts. We really love to hear from anyone tuning in. So with that, I agree with, go ahead, Jay.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, I was just going to go back even a little bit further. Obviously, one of the things that was a negative for me, and I know Sharon, you and I talked about it, we lost the heat races, and I hated that. But again, you got to understand they were in a situation, they did the best they could. With everything being on that one last chance race, I think the MVP there, I know we had the two that transferred in, but the MVP has to be AJ Allmendinger, who basically gave the position to Austin Cindric. I want to know what are the paycheck or earnings that got sent back to AJ. But even Corey LaJoie, who's the one that lost out on that, I mean, he was thrilled to death. It was great racing. Yeah, he came out on the short end of it. There was no ill will or bad language or anything there. You know, he understood it. I mean, that's what short track racing is. But yeah, I do think Austin Cindric owes Allmendinger a Christmas card with a little bit of cash in it.
Yes, indeed. Also, kudos to a couple of other drivers. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Todd Gilliland actually were in the stands clearing snow to make them available for the fans to be able to watch this clash. So that was extra effort above and beyond, I think, for those drivers to be out there helping. And I don't know if there were any other drivers. Those two I know were out there, but my apologies if I missed anybody, but if you were out there helping to clear snow to make it possible for the race to take place, we really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's where I say overall, you just got to give the respect and kudos for what they did do. Like I said, did it all happen the way I wanted it? No heat races, no, and other things, yeah. But I'm going to enjoy what was there, and you got to, in my opinion, just appreciate Ryan Preece. Like you said, yeah, was there some bad language? Yeah, all right, but that, you know, I'll forgive that because again, that was raw emotion. You know, it's been coming, the desire. I'm okay with that slip up, if you will.
Yeah. He really worked hard for it. And I know it meant a great deal to him to be able to get that victory. So I'm hoping that is, like I said, really good things for RFK Racing that we'll see for the remainder of the year and what they'll hopefully be able to accomplish. Anything more that you wanted to mention here with regard to the clash? Can you see the notes that I put up, Jay? In the
no, I wrote down my own. I don't have them where you sent them.
Okay.
Where did you post them?
It's in the studio, but I don't know if you can see them or not. It's on the right side. There's a menu there for me to set up.
No, I can't do that. I can't do that, but I did write them down myself for that reason. So are you looking for me to pick the next one?
Well, yeah, I do want to make sure we talk about the World Series, the asphalt thing that's going on at Bowman at New Smyrna. Okay,
that's another one. I know they've already had some, and I'm trying to think where it was at. Is that where Keelan Harvick picked up the victory? Or is that a different one?
That might be a different one, but Tristan McKee was the fastest out of 38 qualifiers for the season opening ASA Stars National Tour event that took place at New Smyrna Speedway. So Tristan McKee raced in the ARCA Menard Series, and so that was really cool to see. And also Rafael Lassard returned to victory lane. There's racing almost every night this week. And so that's just one of the races that Rafael Lassard raced. You might recall him also from the Truck Series as well as the ARCA Menard Series.
Yeah, I was going to say he is one I know had made some starts. And this is where if you really want to get to know and follow and engage with these drivers before they hit the NASCAR's top three, series like this is where you're going to. You mentioned McKee. That's one down the road. You're going to hear that name on a regular basis because he is on his way up, in my opinion. I understand circumstances, different ways, maybe prevent or limit that. But as far as pure outright driving talent, we've seen that already. So I think one way or another, a path is going to be carved through the ARCA Menard Series, through the Now I can't even think of it. I know, Sharon, I'm not trying to call you out. It's not the Xfinity and O'Reilly Auto Parts series.
Yes. Yes. Did I say Xfinity?
I don't know, but I know I was about to. And actually, I've seen some of the articles still. It's Xfinity. And again, you got to forgive us. It is a change. It's been years. So we're going to make that slip, no doubt.
Every now and then. Okay, now also some other winners at New Smyrna. Bonsignor claims the Wheel and Modified Tour opener, and Aphrodisian takes the SLM Super Late Model win also at New Smyrna. So a lot of winners this week so far already.
And she's another one that I see a lot of former retired drivers really starting to keep an eye on and put their endorsement behind. So we'll see. I believe this will be her second year in the ARCA Menard Series. I think it's with Nitro Motorsports, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But certainly we'll be looking forward to that throughout the year.
Yes, indeed. And you can catch some of the action that's happening at the at New Smyrna Speedway this week for the a World Series of Asphalt Racing. And I think Flow Racing is carrying coverage as well as Racing America. So definitely tune in for some of that.
Yeah, certainly. And like I said, if you want to know who the next stars you're going to see in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series or the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, that's going to be these drivers. And we already know Keelan Harvick just by name, but that's another one of to see the next step they take. We saw it. That's where Connor Zilich came from through these late model series, as well as Cavapo. So that's the future right there.
It sure is. Also, I wanted to give you a list of the Flow Racing. What do you think of the Flow Racing simulcast news?
Again, I'm not a streamer. I appreciate what they do, and I know a lot of the people that work with that company. I am all for it. It's just not a tool I choose to use. But for ones that maybe can't travel to races, or again, they provide where, the Wild West Shootout was out in Arizona for dirt track racing. My dad gets to watch every all 6 of those on a package deal. It's a good thing. I would by no means degrade it. So having that is just another tool and option for fans. I am stubborn and hard-headed and want to get it my way, and that's on cable on a channel I know and can record it. But that's just me. But no, I'm excited about it because it is growing the sport.
It really is, and I think I have Roku at my house, and so on Roku there is free TV. And part of that free TV service that they offer is the NASCAR channel. And so that's where a lot of these races will be shown, is on that NASCAR channel. And so that is absolutely free. So you don't have to pay the fee for these 16 races. You're going to be able to see all of that from Flow Racing. And I was just trying to get some details on it. And for some reason, I can't seem to locate it now.
All right. Let me see if I can pull it up and get what you're looking for as far as the details.
Yeah, I'd like to tell folks what the 16 races are that are going to be simulcast on the NASCAR channel, as well as on Flow Racing. If you're a Flow Racing subscriber, you can see it there. And I know the World Series of Asphalt is also on Flow Racing. So let me put it up here. I'm going to check. Whoops.
I don't know. Oh, there we go. I was going to say mine's not letting it come in. I will say this. You got to give it to them as well as far as the expansion and growth that they have gone through as far as that. Because, again, it was a limited dirt track program when it started, and they have expanded. So like I said, you definitely got to appreciate that. Like you said, the 2026 World Series of Asphalt, you had the national sprints at Speedway Park already. And then for the dirt track late models, you had the Wild West Shootout. I said, I know my dad watches that every year now. And I'm not seeing the NASCAR deal.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the details here. Schedule. Okay, here.
Find it?
Yeah, let me see if I can get the news story. Nope, that didn't give me the news story. The news story is going to give me the different stations. I mean, the different races that they're going to simulcast. I thought I had it up here. Oh, here it is. Okay, the schedule. They're going to have the World Series of Asphalt, the ARCA Menard Series East and West, High Limit Racing, NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, American Flat Track, the Virginia Triple Crown, the Fall Brawl at Hickory, and the Snowball Derby. I'm super excited that they're going to have the Snowball Derby as a simulcast, because that means more people will be able to watch it. So it starts Friday, February the 6th. That was last Friday. That was the first simulcast. The next one will be March 28th at Hickory. Then at Rockingham on Saturday, April 4th. The dirt track at Texas at Saturday, April the 30th. Nashville, Saturday, May the 2nd. Sonoma, Friday, June 26th. I believe that is an ARCA race. Seekonk is on Wednesday, July 1st. Santa Maria on Thursday, August the 20th. Stafford Speedway on Friday, August the 28th. The Springfield race on Saturday, September the 5th. Lucas Oil on Thursday, the 17th, September the 17th. Martinsville, Saturday, September the 26th. Thompson Speedway on Sunday, October the 11th. Hickory again on Saturday, November the 7th. And Five Flag Speedway, that is the Snowball Derby, on Friday, December the 4th. So lots of really great races that are going to be simulcast. And it is flow racing coverage, and it will be simulcast to the NASCAR channel. So I just think it's fantastic that they're doing this.
And the variety you see there, that's what, like I said, what really impresses me and shows their commitment. It's not just one series or one aspect of racing. It's the variety they have. And, again, whether or not I use the platform, but the exposure it gets is obviously a good thing for the sport. And as it builds and grows, I know they can't grow faster than what their manpower allows. I've worked with them when it comes to the dirt track, and it takes a lot. Even for a platform like that they bring in, takes a lot of work and effort. So definitely appreciate what they do.
Absolutely. And it gets better and better every year as they continue to do this. They bring in more and more series and more opportunity for fans to see what's going on. So I love that Flow Racing is doing the simulcast this year for those 16 races and covering so many different series, which allows fans to check out other series as well. But there are some big events that they put on that schedule this year.
There certainly are, and you mentioned as far as the Snowball Derby being one of them in the how did it word it? Support events, qualifying day, and then support events. The Fall Brawl at Hickory, that is one. Is if you are a grassroots race fan, you know that one by name and that track. Several of the top NASCAR drivers. I mean, talk about that. The Burtons, I know are one. Petty's, Jarrett's. That is what was their home track, if you will, growing up. So you got to appreciate the history. Yeah, cut their teeth. There you go.
Yep. So I think it's pretty exciting. And I thought that that was really big news that they brought out from Flow Racing. And I hope it goes well and that they are able to maybe even expand that somewhere down the road.
Well, I know that from, like I said, I know a couple of the guys that I've talked to that work within it, making sure they don't overstep their bounds and make a mistake in doing too much too fast without the appropriate equipment and manpower. So again, we got to take, everybody's like, well, why don't they cover it all? Well, there's a reason for it. You can't have 5 people be in 10 different places and covering 18 different events.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can bring it up here so everybody can kind of see that schedule visually.
All right, I don't know where you found yours. Yeah, that's I think you were on the same page. I found it at NASCAR.com. Is one of the spots
at Performance Racing, but that's okay. Yeah.
Okay. And that way you know where to find it.
Yes. So there is a visual for you of where those races, those 16 races that will be simulcast to the NASCAR channel. And you can get the NASCAR channel in a variety of ways. I know for me, I do it through my Roku free TV. And if you don't have Roku, I love it. If you're a streamer, I think Roku is a great way to stream content and get free TV. You don't always see it live. In this case, you will see it live, but there are some NASCAR races that they show on there as well. So in this case, you're going to see these races live, and there's absolutely no cost if you have a Roku. It doesn't have to be a Roku TV. You can have a Roku device hooked up to any TV and get the free Roku TV. So it's a great way for fans to see the content that we talk about and have enjoyed so much over the years.
That's kind of ironic you talk about that. A guy at our meeting tonight was actually talking to me about that when I made the comment of I'm not a technology guy and this and that. And he's like, oh, yeah, use Roku and this is how, and you can do it with any TV. So, yeah, he was kind of enlightening me, encouraging me, I guess, if you will. If I didn't know better, I'd say you paid him. Talk to him about this before he comes on the air.
I wish. Yeah, I wish. But yeah, there's also the Fire Stick. I mean, that's another way. I don't know if they have free TV with Fire Stick, but I know that they do. If you have a Samsung TV, sometimes you can get the NASCAR channel even on your Samsung smart TV. So it's really amazing what they're doing to make it available for fans.
And I will tell you this, just reading a quote from Michael Rigsby. He's the general manager of Flow Racing, and he's one I've talked to when they've been at local dirt tracks that I've been to. You're not going to find a guy that is more passionate about racing. And I say that because, yes, he was at a dirt track, but he is absolutely passionate about racing of any kind. So that's the guy at the top. And, yeah, you couldn't ask for anybody better to be leading this charge, if you will.
Yeah, I just want to kind of enlarge this part so that you see the different types of series that are being included here. American Flat Track, High Limit, ARCA East, ARCA West, NASCAR Regional, NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, and the Snowball Derby, and that is huge.
And they all correlate. Again, we've seen drivers come from all aspects, one way or another. Some even from NHRA, the off-road trucks. So you go back to Jimmy Johnson, Haley Deegan. So again, that engagement with these drivers that they're not new out of nowhere once they start racing in the ARCA Menards, East West, or Main Series, or into the see, I almost did it. O'Reilly Auto Parts and NASCAR's top 3 touring level.
All right. All right. So, Sal, is there anything else that you wanted to discuss?
Well, the next one, honestly, I got to look at. I'd almost say he was.
You Sal? I mean,
You
Jay.
did. You did. Yeah, no worries. The
I
next
talked
one
to Sal today. That's why I guess I did
oh,
that.
good deal. Good deal.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Snowball Derby, if you want to see some great pictures, I shouldn't speak for him, but I think it's been a while since he's missed one. I think it's only that he missed, as well as West Coast tracks that we, from the Midwest, we don't get to see. So see some great photographs from Sal Segala.
Yes, indeed.
I almost feel like maybe somebody was listening to our show last week talking about Carson Hocevar. Last week I said he was kind of a driver to see what he did this year, and if another top tier team signed him, away from Spire Motorsports, well, that's not going to happen, as he signed a multi-year is the term they're using, contract extension. I know the term be there for decades has been used, so we don't have all the details, but he is not leaving Spire Motorsports. And that's huge for them. I'm glad to see it, because I do think what they're building is going in a great direction with the team they've gotten put together now. Carson Hocevar, Daniel Suarez, Michael McDowell. I think they're going in a very good direction. Do we see them winning races? It's not out of the question. Carson Hocevar had a couple of second place finishes. We know Michael McDowell can put it on the pole and be there in contention at the end of these races. Daniel Suarez is a proven winner. It's a new organization. I get that. But I see good things in that, building an empire, if you will, there.
Yeah, I think this just speaks to the fact that they are investing in Carson Hocevar and have a lot of confidence in what his abilities are. And they should have confidence. We know that he's a young driver. He's going through a growth opportunity, if you will. But his talent is not a question. And obviously, Spire has confidence that he will develop as a driver and become very good. I think we've already seen him develop as a driver and mature over time. So I think there's going to be good things from Carson Hocevar this year. He did have a good run at the Clash. He was up front for some of that race, as was Daniel Suarez. And I think that that's really kind of encouraging for that organization. So I think we're going to see good things from Spire Motorsports, from Carson Hocevar, and that whole organization. You mentioned Michael McDowell as well with that organization. I'm excited for Carson because that gives him a lot of security, if you will. He doesn't have to worry about that. He knows that he's signed and that he's got a job, and he's going to go out there and do it, I think, because he is a competitor at heart.
And I think that's one of the big things, and I know we might talk about this as far as Corey Hyman, his relationship with Toyota 2311. In this case, to see both sides having that faith and trust and commitment to each other, to commit to each other long term. Sometimes we see it where you feel like this is a stepping stone or an opportunity to move to, we'll just call it one of the big three, Penske, Hendrick, or Gibbs. But we also know that there's not a whole lot of room there. Again, Corey Haim kind of falls under the Gibbs umbrella with 2311. But to see that both sides are committed to each other just makes that growth and that investment. You used a good word there. They're investing in each other. It's not just the organization and the driver, but the driver saying, I got faith and believe in what y'all are doing here, and I want to be here. I'm willing to sign long term. That goes both ways. And I think that's a good thing, because we see that throughout other teams. It does take a little bit of time to get all the right pieces in the right place, and that development as a team. I know we talk a lot about the drivers themselves, and that is the quarterback of the team, as you will, but it is still a team sport. So if you don't believe in your team, or the team don't believe in you, it don't matter how much talent either one of you has, you got to be working together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you couldn't have said it any better, Jay. It's really, it speaks a lot to what the team is giving them, that opportunity to grow within the sport. And I like that because so often we've seen some drivers not get that opportunity to really develop within an organization before the organization is moving on and a driver is looking for another ride. So I hope that it works out for Daniel Suarez as well, that he finds a home at Spire Motorsports.
I do too. That was one during when he was without a ride of where he was going to end up. I think that is one too that they said, "Hey, we have the confidence and faith in you. We want you to be a part of this." For him to see that opportunity as well, to go invest himself with it. And one of the things I will say this of might be a little out on a limb, but I don't think it's that far. I do see them possibly winning a race, and I'd even say races of more than one this year. Now, with the chase change, the format change for the chase and not the playoffs, the win and you're in, are they going to be in the playoff contention? I feel like they've been right close to that bubble, as it were, the top 16. The win not necessarily guaranteeing them in. We'll have to see what kind of consistency they have week in and week out, because that's what it's going to take. But I do see them being I say right on that verge. Again, you can't expect them to go from 25th or 20th up to top 5 and winning on the flip of a dime. It does take time, but I feel like they have been. I look at them as a top 15, top 10 on a good day, top 5. Again, we've seen them in contention for race wins. I think we see that a little more on a little bit more regular basis. And guess what? When you see them up there in contention on a regular basis, the wins are going to follow. I mean, I know some of the drivers are like, I've been in contention. Talk about Ryan Preece, Ty Gibbs. They've been right there, maybe falling back a little. Or for Ryan Preece of starting out with the Clash, that those are some of the ones we might see on a breakout year.
Yes, indeed. So we'll have to see how it all plays out, I guess. I'm sorry, I was looking at some other things here, so I didn't hear everything you said there. I apologize.
Well, like you said, we're going to have to wait and see how it plays out, but I think that the tools are all right there. It's a matter of getting it all lined up and how quickly. We talk about that. It takes time. You don't see it overnight. So, yeah, we might not see it in the first 5 to 10 races, but I think in the latter half of the season, like I said, I'd be willing to say I think we see them win a race, if not maybe 2 or 3. Is that enough that they're going to be in playoff contention or the chase contention? Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think we're going to see wins from Spire Motorsports this year. And I think they're developing that organization with some very talented drivers. So we'll see what happens. Some of the other topics that we have on the list here is the one-day test at Rockingham. They moved that to it was supposed to take place at the end of January. We had a huge snowstorm that came through, and so it was rescheduled to early in February. And I've been trying to find the updates for how that worked out. The North Carolina Lottery, presented by Black's Tire and the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, fans could watch that free, but I don't see where they gave us any details of how that worked out.
I hadn't seen any. No, I hadn't seen any either as of yet. We might have to touch back on that on Wednesday during the preview shows when we do the previews going into Daytona.
Yeah, update. The only thing they give us here is that it was rescheduled. But I know that I wonder if that's on. We'll see if we can't get more information on that before we leave here, because I know that was an important test for the truck series in particular. And they usually have a group of drivers that are involved with that testing. And when I say a group of drivers, they try to spread it across all the different teams with one or two drivers from each team and manufacturers. They try to make sure they include all the different manufacturers as well. So I'm sure that would have included somebody from Ram,
right?
or the truck series.
I'm trying to remember who was going to be. I know. Now I'm drawing a blank. Cletus McFarland, Garrett Mitchell, I believe is his real name, but did a test and has been approved and is going to attempt to make his NASCAR debut in the Truck Series with, I believe, Nice Motorsports. No, not Nice Motorsports. Colleague.
Yes, Colleague Motorsports. And that leads us into another hot topic, actually.
All right, we going with the race for the seat?
Yes. Did you get a chance to watch any of it, Jay?
I did. I missed Friday nights. I meant to set up my recorder for it, and I forgot. But I did watch parts of two of the different ones, one being that finale. Again, I talked about this. Obviously, I'm a big Dodge fan. I'm excited to see him back. I felt like this was a marketing thing, and I'm all for whatever they want to do. Having watched it, I don't know that that was the best determination of which one has the most talent or should be given the opportunity, but it's the road they went, and everybody had the same shot at it. So with that, I'm happy for Tyrell, is that his name?
Yeah, Mini Tyrell.
I personally was looking for Christopher to be the one to come through, but and that's part of it. I get it. I understand that. I watched the majority of the go-kart racing. Again, that was a little more of who was just going to be the most aggressive. There was some very hard bumping and banging going on there. But again, they accepted it. Even the ones that pushed and shoved, when it was over, they said they weren't happy, but they shook hands, I think is how it went.
Yes. And that was all part of it. I mean, they were evaluating every aspect of the drivers, how they conducted themselves, how they reacted to different things that happened. They tested media presence. So how did they handle themselves during a media press conference? Could they, they will be expected to promote Ram perhaps in a commercial. So they had to do a mini commercial, and they had as many chances as they needed within a 5-minute period. And so they were evaluated on a number of different aspects. And I thought it was very interesting. Some of the people that I thought were good in the beginning kind of faded out toward the end. And, and I clearly saw why they faded out. So my only wish is that they would have, this was conducted back in October, and I think there were way too many leaks for them to do it in October and then try to air it, this late. I wish they would have aired it right after they did it during the off season. It would have given us something to watch and get excited about. And, hopefully it would have avoided some of the leaks that came out that kind of took out some of the fun of watching that series. But I thought the series overall was done rather well. I know there are some people who are not happy with the results, and so they found fault with how they did it. And it's kind of like your driver on race day. If your driver doesn't win, you're not going to be happy. So I get that. But I think they made it very clear that being a race car driver in today's environment requires more than skill on the track.
No doubt. And that's one of, I really hate that I missed, and that would be the one aspect, like you said, if they'd have had a set time for 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it was, to air it on the same date and time every week. That's kind of what threw me. I happened to come across it, and like I said, when they announced it that the one was on Friday, that part was bad on me because I didn't set my recorder right away. I was like, oh, I'll set it Friday, and then I forgot. So that part's on me. I wish I would have seen the media interview one. Honestly, that would have been, from my aspect of it, of an entertaining, right? Yeah, I can only imagine.
Watch those, Jay.
Yeah, I probably got to get on a streaming device then, right?
Yeah, you got to go to YouTube. But you can do YouTube from your phone.
I saw where you were going with that, Sharon. You're trying to coax me into this world.
You can go to YouTube on your phone and you can watch all of the episodes. And that's what I did. I went and I watched all the episodes, and then Friday night's episode, I didn't actually watched it on Saturday instead of Friday night. So even if you miss it on the date that it comes out, it's still available on demand. If you go to the Ram Race for the Seat YouTube channel, you can see all of the episodes. So if you missed it, go ahead.
And that is the one thing, like I said, I appreciate the fact that they did something different. I want to say outside the box, again, it's kind of been done before, and I think somebody else referenced it, Jack Roush with the Gong Show, but it is a different era and different dynamic to it. Like you said, they did a lot of different aspects to it because of this day and age, especially when it comes to sponsorships. So you're right. There is a lot of things you got to look at and understand that. You mentioned it. I kind of fell in that of my pick or my favorite driver, but I'm not one that's going to then hate on it because my favorite driver didn't win. I still appreciate, obviously, what Dodge is doing in engaging and coming out. I can't think of the word. What do they call it? The launch. There's a word for it, and off the top of my head, I'm not thinking of it, but like activation. Yeah, the activation in marketing.
Yes.
You got to give them kudos for that. Because I do think it did, again, draws attention to the sport and brings in new fans. So I'm all NASCAR for that.
Was involved, but this was actually sponsored by Ram and by Colleague Racing. So NASCAR obviously supported the concept, but Ram and Colleague Racing were actually the people that were behind it.
I know the other. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, and you got to see Chris Rice and Ty Norris and those guys talk about what they were looking for,
right,
as it was going on too. So I thought that was interesting as well.
That was an aspect that, in the episodes that I got to watch, the parts of definitely was intriguing. You're right, of that they were mic'd up and you could hear them as they were talking about it. Seeing that even though they're a race owner, they were still excited as race fans because they could see what was coming. That guy pushed that guy. Watch for the return bump or the crossover and whatnot. They were first and foremost race fans. Now, from that, they got to make evaluations and business decisions. I get that, so to see that mixture, right, that was actually very intriguing. I don't know if entertaining would be the right word, but the insight to it of, from that aspect.
And I think, I'm saying the same thing basically, but in a little bit different way. It just shows that these team owners, crew chiefs, people that are involved in this sport, to look at the bigger picture. NASCAR, they have to look at the bigger picture. It's not just about the driving. They have to look at the bigger picture and all of the aspects that go into that. And I think it was a good illustration of that as well.
It certainly was. I know we did when we talked about the other one, the Open All-Star. I can't think of what they're calling that one, but of them not releasing until the week or two prior. Kind of goes in hand. Would I like to have seen it done a little bit differently? Yeah, but they're the ones in charge and putting the money behind it. Again, it is something different. It is something that is obviously engaging fans, whether you're a Dodge Ram fan or not, but it's engaging to the sport, and that is a good thing.
All right. What else did you have on your list there, Jay?
Let's see. I think I only had one other one written down out of the group you had given, and that's Denny Hamlin. I heard him talk about this a little bit, getting ready for the clash of him dealing with injury. I read a little bit more of, unfortunately, it was through the fire at his parents' house. He apparently going through the rubble of that, fell and re-injured his shoulder, and now has to race with that again through the whole season before anything can be done, or he'd miss time. Just man, again, Denny Hamlin, not my favorite driver, but I hate to see something like that. I know some analysts are already saying that's going to be his hindrance throughout the year, take him out of contention for the championship and everything else, along with what happened last year and through the offseason, the lawsuit, that they're kind of writing him off. I think we've seen Denny Hamlin's character. If you're writing him off, you're making a mistake. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jay. I think that Denny Hamlin is there. There are certain things with all the things that have been happening in his world that I think that some of those things are going to motivate him at the same time. Is it going to be easy? No. But Denny Hamlin, again, is a competitor at heart, and he's going to put everything he can into racing. We hear it all the time. Drivers, when they get into the seat of their race car, they become competitors, and that's what their focus is on. Is his plate full? Absolutely. Am I going to be surprised if he doesn't have a good year? Not really, and I'm not going to be surprised if he does have a good year either. But I do think that it could go either way for Denny Hamlin. But I do think I would lean toward don't count him out, because Denny Hamlin is a competitor at heart, and a very talented competitor at that. So I think he's going to be trying to do everything he can to compete and go after that championship, if at all possible. And we'll see how it goes throughout the season. But I hate to see that he has to go through this whole shoulder thing again. He just went through all of that. And now to have to go through that for a second time has to be discouraging for him.
And that is one, again, not my favorite driver, but I love the competition. I want him in the sport by all means, because he brings that competition. Again, of if he's not my favorite driver, I want to see my favorite driver beat him. And when he beats my favorite driver, he lets you know it. I love that. I mean, that is part of the sport. The other thing you look at with where he didn't win the championship, but you got to consider him as one of the best drivers and having the best season last year overall. Regardless, it's one thing to get on top, especially in today's competitive world. I mean, you look at it, how tough it is to stay on top. When we talk about an organization, say Penske or Hendrick, it may not always be the same driver, but it is within the organization. And we know what Joe Gibbs Racing is capable of, and Toyota. So do I think he's going to still be competitive? Like I said, if you're thinking, oh, he's not going to win any again, I know it's happened a few years back. I don't see that happening again. It was a shock when it happened then. It would be a shock if it were to happen now. Is he going to be a championship 4? I know we don't have it down to 4 like we used to, but yeah, maybe not. Again, and you got to understand that even if you're on the top of your game, to be back to that level year in and year out, that's a lot, and he's been one of the ones that really has over many years.
Yes. And so I do think that we are going to see feast or famine from Denny Hamlin this year. I don't think it's going to be in the middle of the road at all. But I lean toward him being on the feast side of it because of his competitive nature. So I don't want to continue to repeat myself. Is there anything more that you wanted to say there?
No, I don't think so. Like I said, I'm with you. I certainly think he's going to be in contention. Is he going to be at the same top level he was last year? odds of it are probably not, just because, again, everybody else steps up their game. But I do think, like you said, with having his plate full, some people really do thrive on that. And I think he is one of them. I don't think that is a hindrance to him. I think, like you said, it is a motivation to him.
I do believe it is. And I'm like you, I'm not a Denny Hamlin fan necessarily, but I respect his talent and I respect everything that he's going through right now as a competitor. So I have empathy for that. All right. Where do we go next, Jay?
Well, I said that was all I had written down. I know you had a few more on the list, so you'll have to pick one of the ones that I don't have written down. Those were the core ones I had that were duplicated by you.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, well, let me see here. You mentioned Corey Heim. Let's go to Corey Heim because he is going to be driving in the Cup Series this season, the number 67 for Trackhouse Racing. And he's got a schedule now of 12 races that he's going to be racing in. And I wrote them down here. He's going to be racing at the Daytona 500. We're going to see him in the 67 there. The first Kansas race that'll be on April the 19th. Also Texas on May the 3rd. The Charlotte Motor Speedway, the first race on May 24th, and again on May 31st at Nashville. So 3 races in May, he's going to be in that car. In June, he's going to be racing at San Diego. In July, he'll race at Chicagoland Speedway in Indianapolis. And in August, it'll be the second Daytona race on the 29th. In September, he'll be racing at the second Darlington race. And then in October, it'll be Charlotte Motor Speedway again for their race on October the 11th. And then the season finale at Homestead, Miami. So those are the different tracks that we're going to see Corey Heim in the Cup Series. So I'm excited about that.
All right. So what was your question? What were my thoughts on this?
Yes. What are your thoughts about that? Because
all right, I'm going to share my thoughts on this. I think that Toyota 2311, whoever's making this decision is making a mistake of this. He has clearly shown what kind of talent he has, what kind of domination he can provide. To not have him in a full-time ride. I understand it may not be available at the Cup Series level. I would have went out and bought an O'Reilly Auto Parts ride for him by whatever means necessary. And if that was buying a junk car and putting Toyota brand on it, I would have done it. To not have him in a full-time ride, I think is a huge mistake. If nothing else, as much as I wouldn't have agreed with that, I think it would have been better to have him in another full-time truck ride and then give him his Cup starts or not Xfinity, O'Reilly Auto Parts starts. Again, you're going to move him up, move him into the boy, that Xfinity one's going to be a tough one to break. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
We saw this with Christopher Bell before he moved up to the Cup Series. Did I feel he should have been moved up earlier than he was? Yes. They had an agreement of a promise of the future, and I don't know what Corey Heim's promise or contract deal, whatever is. But Bell, when at least was still full-time in, at that time, it was the Xfinity Series, now the O'Reilly Auto Parts. That was better than this. I don't see this as the good route to go with this, and that's just my opinion. In my opinion, if I were Corey Heim, I'd be saying, hey, you get me a full-time ride, or I will get one somewhere else. I appreciate loyalty. And again, I don't know what promises or guarantees or whatever were given to him. Now, again, this is all my thoughts. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, having come off of the dominating years he has had in the Truck Series, I would have said either you give me a full-time ride If it's in O'Reilly Auto Parts for a year or two, so be it. But I deserve a full-time ride, and I feel he does. And I think he should have stood and demanded that.
All right. And I can see your point of view, and I understand where you're coming from with that, and you may very well be right. But just looking at it from another point of view, I do think that there could be some opportunity for Corey Heim too to get a broader view of what goes on in the NASCAR Cup Series. I don't think he's not going to be at the racetrack every single race. He's going to be at the racetrack for every single race. I'm pretty sure. Do I know that for a fact? No, but I would hope that Trackhouse Racing would have him at every single race for this season. And if he's up on the pit box and looking at it from that perspective, I think there's a learning opportunity there. If he's in the garage and looking at it from that perspective, again, those are all learning opportunities. And it could help him have a different perspective that will help his racing. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just surmising and looking at it from a different point of view to see if there isn't a positive that could come out of this as well. So whether or not that's the case, I don't really know. But I think that it could be an opportunity as well for him to be outside of that car, because what happens to a driver when he's not able to race? He can't wait to get back in that car and be behind the wheel and race. And so I think it's going to really whet his appetite, if you will, for when he is behind the wheel of the car for these particular races. And you notice these are a lot of different types of tracks. I don't see a road course on here other than San Diego, maybe. Yeah, there's no road courses. Most of them are the shorter tracks or the 1.5 mile type tracks, which we know he's pretty good at.
Well, I know you said you kind of wanted to see this year. I'm going to give it to you now. We're going to do the counterpoint. I'm going to take an opposite side, argue with you, if you will, because I really, from my viewpoint, believe it. I understand that if you have a young, developing driver, Corey Heim has developed. He has won championships. So I don't see that as the necessary step with him. There have been drivers where that is the route to go. Give them a little bit of seat time, give them a little observation time. We've seen this. I wouldn't say this very often, what they call the generational talent. Look at Connor Zillage. He didn't need that. They took him from, at that time, it was the Xfinity, now the O'Reilly Auto Parts, and they put him in a cup ride. A lot of people question that. I have 100% faith. I think that was the right move. I hate that it cost Daniel Suarez his spot, with Trackhouse Racing, but he has shown that talent. And I think that now's the time you give them that opportunity because they've showed it. Again, in the past, and I'm not going to name any names, there were drivers that did need a race or two and then some observation periods, some watching a veteran driver. I don't feel Corey Heim needs that. Is he making the best of it? Like you said, going to engage in that aspect? Yes, I firmly believe so. He's a better man than me because, like I said, I'd have said, hey, I've proven my worth. You pay me or I'm going elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm not really disputing what you're saying. I think what you're saying is certainly valid. But I just think that he's going to have to make the best of it because it is what it is. And so why not look for the opportunity? The one thing that comes to my mind as I hear you talk, though, is there's a lot of difference between racing in the Cup Series, especially with this 7th generation vehicle, versus racing in the Truck Series. So from that perspective, I definitely think there's some value in him looking at it from the outside looking in versus being so focused as the driver that he doesn't maybe learn some of the things from the outside looking in, because there are things that can be learned there. So is it a perfect world? No, it's not. But it is what it is. And you might as well make the best of it.
Yeah, and you're right from that aspect. Any veteran driver will tell you that the biggest jump is from the O'Reilly Auto Parts garage to the Cup. That is huge. I feel like I said, Corey Heim, Connor Zilich, those are drivers who have showed and proved their worth and their talent, because when he has run in the limited starts, whether it be the O'Reilly Auto Parts or the NASCAR Cup Series, he showed that. The one downside I see to this that could bite him is if a driver is in that position, and I don't know that I'd put Corey Heim in this category, but if you're in that spot where you only get limited starts, you feel like you have to absolutely perform. And sometimes that puts you in a position where you actually overperform, overdrive the car, and put yourself in a bad position trying to prove yourself or whatever. That's the aspect where I see a little bit of a negative, depending on how the driver handles it. I hate to compare directly to Carson Hocevar, but that was where I feel like Carson Hocevar, when he'd get a limited Cup start, overdid it and got himself kind of a bad reputation.
And we've seen some of that happen, and I think some of that would happen anyway with Corey Heim. He's made mistakes in the Truck Series that he wishes he could go back and do different. So I kind of halfway expect that to happen in the Cup Series this year. Maybe not to the same degree that we see with like a Carson Hocevar, but because I think Corey Heim has more maturity, I don't think so that he is going to be perfect. I think that there is going to be learning opportunity for him in the Truck Series or in the Cup Series, and going through that learning curve of an entirely different kind of car that he's going to be behind the wheel of versus the Truck Series that he's won his championships. So yeah, that's going to happen, I think, anyway. So whether he's inside or outside of the car, but I think being and seeing from a different point of view from the outside looking in is going to give him a perspective that he wouldn't have if he was in the car every week. So I think that is going to be, it has the potential to have a plus side to it, is what I'm saying. So I think that I do think that it's going to be fun to watch, and I think the fact that he is out of the car and he is going to be anxious and he is going to be trying to prove himself. He's not perfect. Mistakes are going to happen, and that's okay because he's going to learn from every mistake he makes. He's shown us that he's capable of doing that, just like Connor Zilich.
And that's where I feel like I don't feel like he needs the stepping stone trajectory aspect of, you're right, we did see mistakes of him, of the team, of circumstances throughout the Truck Series. What I saw, though, was he was a mature enough of the driver to overcome them, where we saw other drivers, if something went wrong, they lost it altogether, had a blow up, whatever you want to call it, whereas we saw, Corey Heim overcome them. And that's where I view that tells me he's capable of full-time ride, that he shows the perseverance to not let the hiccup become a catastrophe.
And I don't think Trackhouse is doing that. Is it Trackhouse?
It's 2311.
2311. I don't think 2311 is doing this other than they just don't have a seat for him right now. You know what I'm saying? It's not a matter of, intentionally doing it this way. It's the circumstances just are forcing that situation. So, and I agree with what you're saying. If I'm Corey Heim, maybe I go back to him and say, you either find me the full-time seat or I'm going to go somewhere else. But maybe Corey Heim is investing himself in 2311 and he's willing to go through this. So, and maybe he sees some value in looking at it from the outside in.
That is one aspect, and we're going to kind of get off into a different hot topic of Toyota has had that problem for a while.
Yes,
We've
yes.
seen some Toyota-backed drivers end up in other manufacturers for that exact reason, and I get that, and that's why I said if that's where I would be, if nothing else. And I know there were some O'Reilly Auto Parts teams, Toyota teams, that they could have made sure he was in full time if they wanted to. I appreciate Corey Heim's loyalty to Toyota. Like I said, I'm sure there were some, and I say promises, and again, this is my words, my thoughts, that, you know, they've given him some type of reassurance. Hang in there with us a year. We'll do this. I applaud him for taking that deal, because I wouldn't have. I'd have said, no, you give me this or I'm going elsewhere. If I had his talent, yeah, I'd have said, I'm going to drive full time somewhere. You decide where.
I guess that's why we have the Jay Huseman Cup series.
Right. Again, I'm not the one. No, in that case, again, if I were in a position to be fielding a team, yeah, if I had the opportunity to put Corey Heim in full time, yes, I say it might have been in the O'Reilly Auto Parts. Do I feel he deserves to be in Cup? Yes. Would I have felt better about the whole deal if it were in the O'Reilly Auto Parts? Yes, if it were full time, because I feel he deserves it.
I just think that there might be circumstances that are just preventing them from being able to do that. And
there isn't enough seats at the Cup level. I get that.
So I just think that Corey Heim's trying to make the best of it. Okay. What else do we have on the list here?
Okay. That's one last thing there. That's where I feel like Toyota might be playing with fire of, you know, if you're and it's not the first time they've had this situation. No. That's what is really carrying me through this is I've seen this before. And I'd hate to see them lose a talent like Corey Heim.
Yes, I agree with you. Okay, another topic that we have on the list here is they've announced a schedule. We were wondering with the O'Reilly Auto Parts coming into the second tier series here, whether or not we'd have the Dash for Cash. And they do have a Dash for Cash program put together for the O'Reilly Auto Parts series, as well as coming back this year in the truck series is the Triple Trucks Challenge. So, yay, I'm happy about that. Do you know the details about that, Jay?
Yeah, if you would, please, and I will admit it is for me. I saw the announcement, but I did not get a chance to look at the tracks or all the details. So, for me, I don't know about anybody else, but yeah, for me, you'll have to fill me in here.
Okay, I'm going to post it here in just a second, and then I will go through the details here. Okay, for the Dash for Cash, the 26 Dash for Cash will start. The qualifying race will be at Rockingham, and that's on April the 4th. So that will be the qualifier, the top 4 drivers from that race. Was it the top 4?
Yep. Because it's 4 every week.
The top 4 drivers from that race will compete for the Dash for Cash bonus on April the 11th at Bristol Motor Speedway, the 18th at Kansas, and on the 25th at Talladega. The final race will be May 2nd at Texas. So that is your Dash for Cash schedule. And for the Triple Truck Challenge, will take place over 3 races starting March the 20th at Darlington April the 3rd at Rockingham. So Rockingham will have Dash for Cash and Triple Truck Challenge, as will Bristol on April the 10th. They'll have the Triple Truck Challenge as well as the Dash for Cash at Bristol.
All right, I was trying to pull that up to look at it as you were reading it. The first thing I want to say is I am so thrilled to see both of these programs back. I know there was some question on that as far as sponsorship. I don't know how you can find a negative when it comes to this. First off, it's for cash, right, of the money. But I think the recognition it brings for that series, the drivers, if I'm not mistaken, those are races that cup level drivers that have more than, and I'm going to say X number of seasons, can't participate in. I want to say it's 3 years experience at the cup level. You cannot race in those races. And again, the way it's built gives in the O'Reilly Auto Parts 4 races, earn your way in during that first qualifying event. Then if you're one of the top 4 O'Reilly Auto Parts finishers, you're the one eligible for the next. That recognition, you may not be winning races, but if you're in the top contention, getting highlighted, I just think that is huge. Same with the Triple Truck Challenge when it comes to the trucks. So like I said, everything about these two programs I think is just wonderful, and appreciate that they're doing it, because, and this goes back to the days when cup drivers could run unlimited. I know we went away from that, but this still separates the two series and really highlights. I understand on the truck series, Corey Haim was kind of dominant in it. Sheldon Creed was back in his day when it first started, but that also tells you the talent does show that. But it has provided some highlights for some drivers that maybe don't otherwise get it, of just being in contention, the consistency they show.
Yes, I love the spotlight on those drivers that might not normally get the screen time and the highlight, and that's exactly what these programs are designed to do. I'm hoping that in addition to the Triple Truck Challenge and the Dash for Cash, I hope that the Cup Series comes back with their in-season challenge. Have you heard whether or not that's coming back?
I still have not heard or seen. We might have to go to Bob Pockris because he'd be able to get us that answer. And you're right. That is another one within the Cup Series that Ty Dillon in the finals, again, did it by not taking himself out. I know a lot of people are like, well, he didn't race his way anywhere. It's not about that. It's you beat one driver. Whether they wreck out, that's on them. You were in the race. So I thought that did wonders, especially the way it played out this year. Do I expect it to again like that in the next year? No. That was one of those oddities, and he maximized on it and, got out of it what he could, as a driver, as an organization, for sponsorships. Some of the comments that were made during interviews, again, it drew people's attention to him that he wouldn't normally get. And that I thought was just outstanding. Yeah, again, the underdog, the upset.
Now with the Dash for Cash, I think they also had the women, what do they call it? The pink.
That was
the wives were racing.
Boy, it's been a year or two since I've seen that. I know they did powder puff, I think is what a lot of times
something along that line anyway.
And again, you're right. I'm all for that. I think last year or the last 2 or 3 years they had gone to doing it via iRacing, because they had, that's right, they had the husbands a lot of times. Bobby Labonte is one I can think of standing behind the crew chief, standing behind the iRacing setup. And again, I understand that there's a cost with it. The iRacing was a little bit more viable. I thought that was a great thing. Absolutely. I'd love to see them do more things like that. Yes, as long as they don't put it on a streaming platform to watch it.
Jay, you got to take the leap. You got to make that jump. You don't have to, but I think you'd enjoy it once you did, if you did it. All right. So yeah, I think that's fantastic that they're doing this again, and O'Reilly Auto Parts is picking it up. And I don't know if Xfinity is sponsoring it. I don't think so. I think it's just a continuation of the program.
No, and that's where, and I'm trying to see if I don't see a sponsor directly listed with it. I know that was the concern of whether or not it would be back, was the Xfinity stepping away as the title sponsor, whether or not they were going to do that. We'll know more. Here we go. This one from 5 days ago. Yeah, if you notice, I don't see a sponsor listed anywhere in there. And that's okay, as long as somebody, not me, is footing the bill. It is back. I think it is a good program. Maybe they got some ongoing negotiations, and we'll see a sponsor, or it'll be unnamed. If you want to sponsor something, that would be a good spot. All right, my computer went crazy. So yeah, I haven't seen anything directly say it's with the sponsor, and I know that was the concern of whether or not it would be back. At this point, I'm celebrating both programs being back.
Yes, you and me both. I think it's always fun to watch those kind of programs. It kind of breaks up the season a little bit and gives you a little something extra. It's kind of like when we had our fantasy game. I always looked at the race a little bit differently when I was competing against my fellow fan for racing.
Right.
So it just put that extra little layer to it. Okay, there were some rule book changes that came out this week too, Jay. Some of you will remember for qualifying, especially at the super speedways, Joey Logano got a penalty last year for having his hand out. He had a webbed glove that was blocking the air on the super speedways during qualifying, and he was caught and penalized. And NASCAR has now put that into the rule book. That there is no, you cannot block the air with your hand out the window or in any other means to give yourself a competitive advantage. So your thoughts about that new rule?
Well, I thank you, Sharon, because you're right there. Specifically with Joey Logano, it was the webbed glove. When this came out, I really thought, I was like, that was already a rule because Joey had been penalized under it. But you're right. I think that was a matter of the equipment, the glove being modified, right? Not necessarily the hand, but I think they made it clear. Was it written in the rule book? Apparently not. What it tells me is, I mean, first off, these guys are smart. They may not always act smart when they get out of the car or during the race, whatever, but they are, and that little bit, I mean, that tells you how close and how sensitive and competitive this is, that just having your hand out, catching a little bit of air affects the car and, gives them that tenth or so that they need to be a tenth faster than somebody else. So did NASCAR need to address it? Yeah. If they didn't like it, obviously it did need to go in the rule book, because we know that if it isn't black and white, 100% defined with no questions, somebody somewhere is going to find a way. So yeah, like I said, when I initially read it, I was like, I didn't understand because I thought it was already a rule. But you're right. What they tagged Joey with was the modified glove, which you can't modify equipment. So that's how they got him, even though it wasn't a direct rule of directing the airflow. Now it is specifically anything we deem you do that affects the airflow, we're going to get you on. Because They said even pushing on the window net. Basically, you better have your hands on the steering wheel.
Yeah, but he had his hand out the window, giving himself a competitive advantage. So NASCAR said we are going to consider that illegal, and it will have a penalty associated with it if we see you doing it. So I think NASCAR did the right thing here. I think, they said from the very beginning, they're trying to equalize the field, make it fair for everybody, and that these rules are in place for a reason. And let me tell you, The reason rules are put in place is because somebody has done something to push that envelope and force the rule to be put in place. And so in this case, it happens to be Joey Logano is the person who kind of pushed that envelope and forced NASCAR's hand to put a rule into place. So when people complain about the rules, one of the things that they have to remember is that the drivers have usually made it an issue that has forced a rule to be put into place. So this is a prime example of that happening.
All right, I'm gonna counterpoint you there and go against you. Don't put it on the drivers alone. I'm not going to say don't include the drivers, but a lot of times there's some engineering minds, crew chiefs. You go back to Ray Everham. He wasn't a rule breaker. He was known as the rule maker because whatever he did, there became a rule because of it. But I didn't like the fact that you were only putting it on the driver. Did the driver play a role? Yes, he did. Was it his idea? I have no idea.
But sometimes it's the crew chief. Chad Ganassi is a good example.
That's another one. Absolutely. I can't believe I left him off the list. He's had multiple suspensions for questionable things. I still, and I know that there's been some release. I want to know that with what was it, the T-Rex car, as a Jeff Gordon fan, the Ray Everham and the T-Rex car, that NASCAR just said, don't ever bring it back. Nobody will admit to what was done or what. Someday I want to hear that story.
Well, wasn't there a banana car or something too back in the day?
That one goes way back in history.
Yeah, that goes a little bit further back. But those are the reasons why rules are put into place. I think NASCAR takes the heat for having rules, too many rules sometimes. It's not NASCAR that's wanting to put these rules in place. It's being forced to put these rules into place. So just something to give you a perspective on why we have rules, and that sometimes it's the drivers or the crew chiefs or the people who are pushing that envelope that are kind of forcing the rules to be put into place. So, and I think that's a good thing. And I think, this next gen car has made the racing a little bit better. Now, I know it hasn't been perfect. Nobody's saying that it has been perfect. And I know that on short tracks, they are still working on trying to develop a package that's going to give us better short track racing. But I think overall, they've accomplished their goal with this car.
Oh, without a doubt. And that's one of those I know it as an old school thing. We've seen a couple of penalties, and I want to say in the last couple of years of illegal weight. And the teams, and I won't name any, we'll just say the teams, claimed it got left in there by accident or whatever. But you go back in the old days, it was place a brick in place of the radio and then swap it out. And that saves you a couple of pounds. I always thought of that as, old school or whatever. I witnessed it at a dirt track. They caught somebody, older gentleman as a racer. As soon as he'd win or come off the track, wife was there to give him a coat. He's old, he's got temperature issues or whatever. Yeah, there was weight in the coat. The purse on the back of the car, that one that took him a minute or two to catch. And I'm just like, wow, really? But, and we talk about it in this day and age, it is so tough with almost, I think every car requires at least one in-car. I don't know if it's the driver cam, but every car has one in-car cam. Majority of them have different cameras throughout the car. You're hard pressed to get away with something. Either social media, video, somebody, or as you said, we've seen it several times, other teams are watching their competitors and be like, hey, go look at that. Hey, I think that was with the tape, extra tape underneath the wrap, and they made them pull up the wrap and found tape underneath. You think you're creative and not going to get caught, but somebody's going to notice.
Somebody's going to catch it, and they will tell on each other.
Oh, without a doubt.
So that does happen. Now, I think the rest of what I have on my list here, Jay, are things that are kind of news stories. I'll kind of go through some of them here and see if you want to comment on any of these. Driver appearances. I do want to just mention there are a number of driver appearances this weekend at Daytona. Hold on. And if you're going to the track, you want to know about those. Here it is, so that you can take part in some of these driver appearances. Hold on, it didn't. I'm trying to bring it up here, and it keeps taking me back. I don't know why I can't keep it.
Where are you trying to pull it from?
Okay, I think I've got it now.
All right.
Okay, driver appearances. In fact, Thursday, February the 12th, Justin Allgaier at 4:15 will, and this is Eastern time, will be at the Team Chevy display. On Friday, February the 3rd, there is a slew of driver appearances. You've got Joey Logano's at 12 p.m. is going to be at the Walmart on Granada Boulevard in Ormond Beach. Christian Eckes and Tyler Ankrum at 12:45 will be at the Team Chevy display. Grant Infinger is going to show up at 1 o'clock at that Team Chevy display. Riley Earps from 1 to 2 will be at the Publix on Belleville Road at Daytona Beach, Florida. O'Reilly Auto Parts drivers will have an autograph session from 1 to 1:45 at the Hard Rock Bet Fan Zone part of the racetrack. Daniel Hemrick and Chris Wright are going to be at the Team Chevy display at 1:15, followed by Dawson Sutton at 1:30. Travis Pastrana will be there at 1:45. Andreas Perez and Landon Lewis will be there at 2 o'clock at the Team Chevy display. Casey Mears from 2 to 3 will be at the Tangier Daytona Beach near Columbia on Cornerstone Boulevard in Daytona Beach, Florida. And that's from 2 to 3 on Friday. Josh Berry and Austin Cindric from 3:15 to 3:30 will be at the Ford Racing Stage on the Midway. Josh Berry and Austin Cindric at 3:30 will move over to the Team Penske merchandise hauler. So they'll be at the Ford Racing Stage from 3:15 to 3:30, and then at the Team Penske hauler at 3:30. Denny Hamlin is going to be at the NASCAR Experience Stage on the Midway from 3:45 to 4 p.m. Tony Breidinger at 4:45 at the Team Chevy display. And NASCAR Truck Series drivers will have their autograph session from 5 to 5:45 at the Hard Rock Bet Fan Zone. Then Saturday, all of those were on Friday. Now we go into the drivers that will be available on Saturday. Carson Cavapel and Raja Caruth will be at the Team Chevy display at 9:15. Ryan Blaney and Austin Cindric will be at the Discount Tire Store on International Speedway Boulevard in DeLand, Florida at 10 a.m. on Saturday. Eric Jones will be at the NASCAR Experience Stage on the Midway at 10 o'clock for a Q&A. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. At the Team Chevy display at 10:30, followed by Cole Custer at 11 a.m. Alex Bowman will have a Q&A session at the NASCAR Experience Stage on the Midway starting at 12 noon. Sam Mayer and Sheldon Creed will be at the Team Chevy display at 12:30. Then we've got Cole Custer at 12:30 to 1 for a Q&A at the NASCAR Experience Stage. Austin Hill at 12:45 at the Team Chevy display. Ryan Preece and Chris Buescher will be from 1 to 1:30 at the NASCAR Experience Stage on the Midway. Sammy Smith at 1:15 at the Team Chevy display. William Byron for a Q&A at the Harley J's at 1:30 to 1:45. Harley J's is a restaurant, I think, in that area. Jesse Love will be at the Team Chevy display at 1:40. Corey Day at 2 p.m. at the Team Chevy display. On Sunday, another slew of drivers. Michael McDowell will have a Q&A starting at 7:15 to 8 o'clock a.m. at the NASCAR Experience Stage. Daniel Suarez will be there from 9:30 to 9:45. And Ricky Stenhouse will have his Q&A at the Hard Rock Bet Fan Zone main stage starting at 9:30. Austin Dillon and Carson Hocevar will be at the Team Chevy display. Dillon at 9:45, Hocevar at 10 a.m. Ryan Blaney will be at the Hard Rock Bet Fan Zone main stage at 10 a.m. for a Q&A. Michael McDowell, these will all be at the Team Chevy display. Michael McDowell at 10:15, Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott at 10:30, Connor Zilich and Shane Van Gisbergen at 10:45. Then Michael McDowell will show up again at 10:45 to 11 at the Hard Rock Bet Fan Zone main stage. Chase Elliott is going to be at Harley J's at 11. Joey Logano at the Daytona 500 Club at 11. And William Byron and Alex Bowman at 11:05 at the Team Chevy display. Shane Van Gisbergen is back again, this time at the Hard Rock Bet Fan Zone main stage at 11:15. Kyle Busch at 11:30 at the Team Chevy display. And Miranda Lambert will have a Q&A session at 11:30 at the Hard Rock Bet Fan Zone main stage. And Cody Ware is going to play Family Feud at
Oh, cool.
11:30 at the NASCAR Experience stage. So that's all pretty exciting to see all of that happening.
I will, if you'll give me a minute, a little bit of a soapbox here, Stan. And it's from both sides. I know from when I became a race fan and started going to the track, it's a new era. You could go up and talk to essentially the driver's job was to drive the car and then get out and interact with the fans. Nowadays, with all the sponsors and whatnot, they're making a lot of different appearances. I'd like to see more direct fan interaction, such as Walmart or Publix, whatever their sponsor is. But that is hard on them. And try to understand and I say it's the drivers, but a lot of times that's not the driver's decision. They're told what to do. And I'm going to share something here without calling anybody out, but Sharon, you were the one doing it, of trying to get a short interview. Yeah, you knew where I was going, weren't you? An interview with the driver, and it was the PR rep that was stopping it. And the driver was like, no, I want to do this, and show that. But we had to basically jog along the driver as they were going to, I believe it was driver introductions. Again, they have a set time. They have to be there, or it costs them their starting spot. So I'm with fans of, I'd like to see more of it, as we did back in the day. However, be respectful and understand they have a full booked, timed schedule throughout the day. Don't hold it against the driver. I'm not telling you to hate their PR person either, but don't necessarily hold it against the driver. Again, they're given a schedule of, hey, be here, be here. They have those PR directors with them to keep them on said schedule. Yes. Some of them a little more aggressive than others, but take it for what it is. I know a lot of both media personnel, other drivers. Each one is a little bit different. There are some drivers that will, after a race, take whatever time. I know they talk about Richard Petty being one. He would stay and sign autographs until the last person left. Not all of them are that way. I get that. Okay. Appreciate the ones that are, I guess is what I can say.
Yes, indeed. So thank you for sharing that, Jay.
Yeah. Well, the other one I'd share is the one, if you have the opportunity, even if you don't drink coffee, especially cold coffee, Sharon and I got to sit down and have cold coffee which was a sponsor, but we got to sit with the drivers. I wanted to do that. I drank one of the cold coffees. Sharon witnessed it. I made some faces while I was drinking it, but I had to sacrifice in order to spend that time with them.
Yes, yes. And it was a nice conversation as well.
It was a good time. I still have that taste in my mouth, but
Yes. The rest of these that I'm going to bring up here, Jay, are kind of news stories that have recently come out that maybe we haven't talked about yet. Connor Zillage got the Driver of the Year award for the MPA Richard Petty Driver of the Year award. I think that was well deserved. I was happy to see that he got that.
Absolutely. How could you not? Yeah.
Exactly. Dave Moody, Nate Ryan, they received the American Motorsports Media Award. That was also well deserved, and happy to see that happened. And with the retirement of Doug Rice from SiriusXM Radio, they brought in Nick Yeoman is going to join Brad Gilley on SiriusXM. So I think that's really good news as well. We'll see how that plays out. Jackson Lee is going to have a Truck Series debut. And he is going to have that debut at St. Petersburg with the Rayum brothers. So I'm kind of excited to see that happening as well. We talked about the ASA season at Dominion Raceway on April the 26th. Really excited for that happening. What am I missing, Jay?
I think those are all the ones, certainly, as you said, a big shout out to Connor Zillage. I don't even know if I could have a discussion. There's somebody that says he didn't deserve that based on his season. Nate Ryan, it was good to see. Obviously, y'all know I'm a big fan of Dave Moody. I don't have my Moody hat on tonight, but to see Nate Ryan with that as well. Again, unless you're in the industry and understand their schedule and what they do and what they sacrifice is unbelievable. So again, anybody deserves that recognition that puts in what they put in to bring it to us fans.
Absolutely. And also, you mentioned Cletus McFarland is going to be racing at Daytona in the Truck Series. It's going to be a debut in the Truck Series for him. And then Dario Franchitti is also going to be racing.
Oh, that was another one. Yep.
With Tricon Garage. So I'm excited about those two additions as well. And I think that pretty much covers everything that I had on my list.
That's when seeing that name again, I like to see it. I know the crossover, he was one of the first, not the first, but to come from IndyCar and just didn't quite work out. I know a lot of fans or people kind of went against him. Just didn't work out. I would hate to see anything take away from a driver's talent just because they couldn't do it at NASCAR. I always liked Dario Franchitti. He was part of Chip Ganassi Racing. I think because I was before Kyle Larson in the Target machine. Hated to see that he didn't do better, because that is one across multiple styles of racing. To see the driver talent, was it on full display at NASCAR? No, it wasn't. But again, there's so many variables. His driver talent is unbelievable. So I am looking forward to seeing him in the trucks now.
Okay, so yes, I am too. I think that's going to be fun to watch. Also, do watch for more coming from Fan for Racing Radio. I mentioned that Jay and I are going to be doing the previews. We're going to record those for everybody for all the races taking place at Daytona. Chris sent me a note here. He says qualifying is going to be on Wednesday night during the time that they are doing their show. So they're going to be doing a simulcast through 110 Nation. So fans can watch Chris and Taz and Chris and Taz and CJ on
Sports,
110 Nation. Yes. And they will be covering that qualifying session live through their simulcast. So you'll definitely want to tune in for that. Also, Taz and I think, are going to be doing a fantasy report on Friday morning at 10 a.m. Well, we'll record it at that time, and then I'll try to get it out sometime on Friday afternoon. It'll be for the Cup Series, the fantasy report that we did last year. We're going to continue that this year, so I'm looking forward to that. We had a lot of fun doing that, and I don't know if you want to. I don't think you're able to join us. Is that right, Jay?
Yeah, most of the time on Friday mornings I'm not available. If I am throughout the year, I'll try and jump on and throw my 2 cents, which will turn into I owe somebody 5 cents.
So yeah. So anyway, we're going to do that fantasy report this weekend, and then Jay and I will be back on Monday night next week with our hot topic sound off post Daytona. Excuse me, and before the races that'll be coming up at Atlanta. So I'm sure we'll have a few hot topics to discuss, Jay.
So what do you think the biggest hot topic will be? Who didn't do good, or do we have a surprise winner, or what do you think the main hot topic will be?
Oh, somebody crashed somebody. Oh, Tony Stewart's going to be racing.
That's not a hot topic. That's a given. That's a given. It's Daytona. Come on now.
Tony Stewart is going to be racing in the Truck Series
in
as
the Truck
well.
Series.
That's going to be fun to see.
Yeah, that's an article. I think it was up on J-Ski. I might not be mistaken, but the Truck Series for sure at Daytona is a stacked field. Yeah, that might be the highlight of that from the truck race for sure.
And there are a lot of entries for the ARCA race too. I don't know.
That was another one.
Previewed that, but
50,
the ARCA
50?
Series has a lot of people on their entry list.
I think that was one I saw 50 cars for 40 spots, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun to watch. So we'll give you all the details and everything you need to know going into Daytona. But I did want to mention, and Jay, I don't know, there is going to be, I think I mentioned it earlier, but I'll mention it again for those that may have missed it. The qualifying is going to be taking place on, I don't have it in here. I don't know why I didn't put, well, qualifying is going to take place on Wednesday. And that's
I know it's on Wednesday.
Yeah, that CJ and Chris Crichton and Taz, they'll cover that on their Race Chat Live. The duels will be on the 12th. That starts at 7, and second duel should be sometime around 8:45. That's Eastern time. The Truck Series races on Friday night. Then you've got the ARCA Menards on Saturday, the Xfinity Series on Saturday, and the Daytona 500 on Sunday. Now, the qualifying for the Daytona 500 is so different for the Daytona 500 than it is any other race.
Right.
The qualifying that they have on the 11th, on Wednesday, basically decides the front row for the Daytona 500. Then they take the remainder of the field and line them up for the first duel and the second duel. The even number drivers are in one duel, the odd number drivers are in the other duel, and then those dual races take place on Thursday to decide the rest of the starting lineup for the Daytona 500. It's very unusual. It's not unusual for Daytona, but very unusual from the other qualifying for the other races of the season. So a lot to look forward to here.
Well, and I really thought this was the same, but they said it was a change for this year, and I did get this from Bob Pockris. As you mentioned, Wednesday night's qualifying for the 36 charter teams. They're locked into the race period, along with Jimmy Johnson as the OEM manufacturer, or that's not the right term.
I can't remember what that past term. Provisional, as a past champion.
Right. So he is locked in, but the front row will be set, your pole sitter and your outside pole. As Sharon mentioned, that'll determine the lineups for the duels. and then the duels will determine their lineup for the actual Daytona 500. But also 2 other drivers that will guarantee and lock themselves in and I just had this number, let me scroll back up, of the open teams that are trying to race their way in, that are not a chartered team, and I want to say there's 8 of them as of the last posted entry list. All right, so they have 45, which means 9 additional ones. It's 8 because Jimmy Johnson don't count. That's where I got the 2 confused.
Okay.
Those open teams, 2 of them will lock and guarantee in from time trials. Then 1 from each duel will be able to race their way in. In years past, I guess it's the 2 that got to race into the duels. So there will be 2 open teams that will breathe a lot easier and sleep well after Wednesday's qualifying, knowing they are locked in.
Yes, indeed. So thank you for that clarification. And we'll go over that again when we do our preview for the Daytona 500. But because the preview is going to happen after we usually do it on Wednesday night, I don't know if Jay and I will talk offline about when exactly we'll do that. But it is going to be a fun week.
It means race season is here because we got a lot to cover over the next 3 to 4 days while watching what's going on.
Oh, and I wanted to mention too that I talked to Sal today. He is putting together an interview for us for tomorrow. So hopefully we'll be able to do that interview tomorrow and have it out to you by Wednesday as well this week. So
But you're not going to tell us who it is?
No, I'm not going to tell you who it is because he hasn't talked. It's not a confirmed person yet. And if he can't get one person, he might get another person. So stay tuned for an interview coming from Sal, because that's going to be his focus this year, is scheduling some interviews for us so that you can get to know. And I thought about this, Jay. What if I interviewed you and you interviewed me, and we interviewed Chris and CJ and Taz, and just getting to know the Fan for Racing crew kind of interview?
I'm not sure that people want to know that much more about me, but no, that's that's an interesting thought of in depth with the team. Yeah,
and Sal, I would interview Sal.
Yeah, that's a thought. Yeah. Well, see my competitive mind be like, we'll see whose interview gets the most views.
So something to think about. I think I'm going to try to do that throughout the year anyway. Try to spread it out a little bit, but a chance for people to get to know who we are. So
yeah, that's interesting.
Okay. Plus, you guys all have interesting backgrounds. I know you've worked at the track. Chris works at a track. Taz is a flagger. Sal is a photographer. So yeah, we have quite a variety of people as part of our Fan for Racing crew here. So I thought an interview with them might be kind of fun. So
I guarantee you we'd have fun with it. There's no doubt about that.
I think so. So first, I do want to say thank you for tuning in to Fan for Racing Radio and for our Hot Topic Sound Off. We always appreciate you taking the time to hear what we have to say. And we are an interactive show. As you get more comfortable with us and everything, I hope you do join in to the live chat that we have available. And if you're listening after the live stream, you can still comment in our regular comment section and tell us what your thoughts are. We'd love to hear from you. And if we missed a hot topic that you think we should talk about, let us know and we'll include it in next week's hot topic.
Absolutely. If you got a hot topic you want to hear talked about, by all means, put it up.
Put it up there so that we can put it on our list and discuss it with you. So with that, Jay, is there anything more that you wanted to say?
Just excited about it. Again, we got a little bit of a taste with the Clash. I am excited for the race season to start. obviously with the Truck Series, seeing the Dodge Ram back. I know I got to wait a little bit to see them back in the Cup, which is hopefully projected down the road. Maybe we can get Tommy back on. He's my other Dodge guy.
Yes. Okay.
Tommy will be excited with me.
He will be. Well, we'll look forward to seeing everybody in the next video, and take care, everybody, and enjoy your race week. Bye
All right,
now.
talk to you soon.